If you are looking for a trip to paradise, look no further. We've just wrapped up an unforgettable 14-day road trip across this breathtaking island. And yes, it's every bit as dreamy as it sounds.
Make sure you watch till the very end, because we're sharing our top tips to make your trip even better, including a few things we wished we'd known before we went. Trust us, you won't want to miss this.
This year we wanted something different. No crowded beaches, no scorching European summer heat, and definitely no overpriced hotel rooms. We were dreaming of a place that was easy to explore by motor scooter with short distances and tons of scenic stops. That's when we stumbled, almost by accident, on Mauritius, and honestly, it turned out to be the perfect pick for our end of April getaway.
Mauritius has a tropical climate with warm weather year-round. It has two main seasons. The winter from May to September brings sunny, dry days and fewer tourists. Ideal for exploring the island by scooter or relaxing on quiet beaches. Expect pleasant temperatures between 19 and 26 degrees. And a sea that's always swim ready at 24 degrees Celsius. Just a heads up, July and August can be windy, especially along the east coast.
The summer is from December to March. During these months, it is hotter and more humid with highs over 30 degrees Celsius and a chance of dramatic tropical storms, especially in January, the warmest and wettest month. This is also peak season with travelers flocking in to escape the cold back home.
So, with great weather, a manageable size for road tripping and endless beautiful beaches, Mauritius ticked all our boxes. But what truly stood out was the culture. Mauritius is a vibrant mix of Indian, Creole, Chinese and French influences. We were blown away by the warmth of the people, always ready for a chat, always welcoming. We loved seeing a church, a Hindu temple and a mosque just steps from each other. And the weekends? Pure joy. Locals gather at the beaches in big groups, sharing food, music and good vibes. It's something we so far haven't seen much on tropical islands, and it made our trip feel even more special.
So, how did we spend 2 weeks in paradise and what would we tweak next time? We based ourselves in 4 different spots: Le Morne, Flic and Flac, Peribert and Trou-d'Eau-Douce, exploring the island on scooters. In these 2 weeks we did the following.
We arranged to have our motor scooters dropped off at the airport. So straight after landing, we found ourselves cruising along the southern coastal road heading to Le Morne in Brabant, where we booked a place to stay for 6 nights. With our room not ready yet, we strolled along the beach and had our first island dinner. Low tide started at around 2 p.m, so we quickly learned to plan our beach time around the tides.
In the morning we went to Gris Gris Beach. We loved the picnic-friendly green park, which you find at almost all beaches in Mauritius. From the cliffs at Roche-qui-Pleure we were able to see the beach. Once at Gris Gris Beach, we had the whole beach to ourselves. We just couldn't believe our luck with such a gorgeous beach and crystal clear water.
After our first amazing swim in Mauritius at this beautiful beach, we walked along the sugar cane fields to a small refreshing waterfall. From there we headed to Rochester Falls, a stunning waterfall with large pool, ideal for swimming and for the daredevils, jumping.
In the morning we headed straight for beautiful Le Morne Beach, nestled beneath the iconic mountain. There are many resorts here, but luckily, like most beaches on the island, there is a public beach with a huge parking area, showers and toilet facilities. It's amazing. The beach here is picture postcard perfect and we could only wonder if this is the ultimate beach in Mauritius. Well, we soon learned that they are all this beautiful.
From Le Morne we drove through the lush green mountains to the Chamarel waterfall and the 7-colored earth. We didn't expect it to be extremely organized park, making it very accessible on wheels. No hiking needed. It felt a bit like a theme park though, with an entrance fee of around $10. But that said, the waterfall is beautiful just as the 7-colored earth. We wanted to visit the ebony forest, but the park was closing soon. If you wish to visit it, make sure you plan the whole morning or afternoon for it.
We already planned to stay in Flic and Flac the following week, but rain was expected. So since Flic and Flac is one of the must-visit beaches, we wanted to see it with a bright blue sky. It just makes the color of the ocean more intense. So we drove to Flic and Flac, enjoyed a morning at the beach, had our first coconut and our first picnic lunch before heading to the Black River Visiting Center for a hike to the waterfall. We were kind of in a rush as we arrived at 3:30 in the afternoon and the park was closing at 6.
They mentioned the hike would take 2.5 hours, so we grabbed the challenge. It was a pretty tough hike because we felt rushed, and when we hadn't bumped into the waterfall after 1 hour and 50 minutes, we kind of got worried that it was 2.5 hours one way. Luckily, after 1.5 hours of hiking, we heard the waterfall calling, and we took a quick dip before heading back for a slippery, rocky and muddy path. We were back at 5:30 before it got dark. We highly recommend the hike, but better to give it more time than just the 2.5 hours.
The next morning we woke up at 4:30 for a dolphin trip at La Golette. We were hoping to do a whale watching and dolphin trip, but the season hadn't really started yet. A whale watching tour will cost you around $100 a person, so with a low chance of seeing them, we opted for a dolphin trip only. This was around $30 a person. We met a large group of spinner dolphins and were able to see them in the water too. It was an amazing experience.
In the afternoon, we headed to Saint-Félix Beach, a huge public beach in the south of Mauritius, which we had spotted when heading to Gris Gris the other day. It is now officially our son's favorite beach, and yes, it is stunning. We were there on a Sunday, so we literally blended in with the locals. Slowly but gradually, we were surrounded by families and friends enjoying food on the beach. No one seemed to notice us, or they just didn't care. Some were open for a chit-chat, which was really nice. It was busy and crowded, yet we enjoyed the local atmosphere opposed to a quiet resort beach.
We planned a trip to Grand Bassin, a crater lake up in the mountains. The lake is also known as Ganga Talao and represents the mighty Ganges River of India. Unfortunately, before even arriving, we had to turn back due to heavy rain and our son didn't feel very well. Still, we got a glimpse of the beautiful route and playful monkeys.
That said, the trip to the Grand Bassin is beautiful. You can also combine the visit with the Alexandra waterfall and a visit to the tea plantation Bois Chéri. We highly recommend adding this to your trip. Luckily, the weather cleared up in the afternoon. Our son felt better after a long nap and we headed to La Prairie Beach. During the week, a small plane takes tourists up to see the underwater waterfall. On the weekends, it is packed with local beach lovers. Luckily, the tides had changed and we were able to enjoy the beach till 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Since we'd explored Flick and Flock earlier, we ventured south to Morne Beach. There's a nice little public beach here, set between the many resorts. While the rain clouds rolled in, we enjoyed the peaceful beach between showers.
We planned to spend the morning and afternoon in Port Louis.
The market is really worth a visit, just as walking through the streets towards Chinatown and the Juma Mosque. But somehow we struggled to connect with the city. We also hoped to try out many of the local dishes, but all felt very overwhelming. In hindsight, a food or walking tour would have added more depth. Once back, we were exhausted. Fortunately, dinner at Zup Express in Flick and Flock redeemed the day. The curries here are absolutely delicious.
On day 9, we were moving to Peribert. Unfortunately, the weather forecast said it would rain all day. It was even that bad that schools were closed, just as many shops and restaurants. We avoided the motorway to avoid fast traffic in the rain, which made our journey much longer. After 3 hours of driving in the rain, we arrived safely in Peribert. With rain continuing till late in the evening, we accepted the idea of staying put in our accommodation and headed to bed early.
On Labor Day, we checked out Trou beaches. It was crowded and boat filled, but we joined a spontaneous dolphin trip for just $20 a person and saw bottlenose dolphins up close. While the whole experience was amazing, we have to say that this dolphin trip was more intense than our first one. Boats were trying to get as close as possible, but luckily we had a boatman that kept its distance, and while we waited in the water, the dolphin swam underneath and past us.
Once back, we hoped to find a more beach vibe in Montsoircy and we're not disappointed. The beach is amazing and it was nice to see the locals sitting in the shade of the trees. This was also the first time we ever had fries on a burger for just 80 Mauritian rupee. We never heard of it, but apparently this combo is popular in the UK too. Very tasty and highly recommended.
On day 11, we sailed 1.5 hours by a small catamaran to Flat Island, one of the many islands north of Mauritius. A real highlight. The beach was stunning, snorkeling was great, and we even saw a turtle, though coral appeared bleached. This is the case for all the beaches we snorkeled at in Mauritius.
Still, a day on the water and strolling on a small bounty island felt like a mini escape. We highly recommend the tour company Babakul. The crew is friendly, plus we were just with 12 people, unlike the other overcrowded boats. It's around $50 per person, including lunch and unlimited drinks.
On day 12, we packed our bags and headed to Trou d'Eau-Douce in the east of Mauritius. We were hoping to do some pit stops, such as swimming at the many beaches along the way, but after visiting the famous red-roofed church Notre-Dame Auxiliatrice Chapel, it started to rain, so we headed straight for Trou d'Eau-Douce, a town that is the gateway to Île aux Cerfs. Somehow, for us it lacked charm and we kind of regretted staying here for our last 2 nights on the island.
That said, once it stopped raining, we headed to a nearby beach, Morne Beach. Enjoyed it before it started to rain again. Luckily, around dinner time we were able to drive up to Bel Air, where we found the most uncharming Indian restaurant with the best Indian curries we ever had.
For our last full day in Mauritius, we planned a visit to Blue Waterfalls and Blue Bay Marine Park. However, we had to change our plans as it rained all night and more was expected later that afternoon. So unfortunately, we skipped the waterfall in the mountains and went straight to Blue Bay Marine Park early in the morning. We had to take a boat out to the marine park for a 45-minute snorkeling trip. While it was pretty, we honestly expected a bit more marine life. It's still worth the trip if you're staying nearby, otherwise skip it. The sun was still shining late in the afternoon, so after driving an hour back, we found ourselves on another section of Morne Beach. You just can't get enough of the beach, right?
With our flight in the evening, we savored a final beach day at stunning Belmare. Again, before heading to the beach, you pass a lush green park offering lots of shade. And at the beach you are able to sit in the shade of a palm tree. What a way to end our trip. It's amazing, by the way, how clean the beaches are here, or all of Mauritius for that matter. There's hardly any litter throughout the island.
At the end of our trip, we were supposed to drop our motor scooters off at the airport, but to avoid getting drenched by rain and driving for more than an hour, the rental company was able to pick up the motor scooters up at our accommodation, from where a taxi took us to the airport for $40.
So that was our holiday in Mauritius, and what a trip it was. With an incredible time exploring lush landscapes, soaking in the sunshine and being welcomed by some of the friendliest people we've ever met. Honestly, Mauritius really does feel like paradise. Its beaches? All stunning. Not just a few standouts, every single one of them. You simply can't go wrong. That said, there are a few things we do differently next time.
While we love exploring on a motor scooter as it gives you that feeling of freedom, in Mauritius a car might have made more sense. Roads are in great shape, there's a lot of beach parking and you can hop on the motorway to save time. Plus, you're protected if it rains. With a car, we probably would have explored more waterfalls, have added the botanical garden or a rum distillery to our itinerary, and we would have definitely made it to Grand Bassin. Still, in busy towns or narrow roads, a scooter was a lifesaver.
We stayed in Trou d'Eau-Douce to explore the east coast, but in hindsight we would have better to shorten our time there and wrap up our trip closer to the airport. That way we could have enjoyed Blue Bay or Le Bouchon Beach, be closer to the Eau Bleue waterfalls and even squeezed in Île aux Grettes, where you can join an eco tour taking you to last remaining dry coastal forest, and where rare species are found that used to live on the main island.
We expected to eat mostly local street food, but as vegetarians, options were limited. Many dishes featured chicken or fish and a lot of the food was deep fried, which we couldn't handle every day. We ended up splurging more on restaurant meals than planned. Street food was cheap. Think 80 Mauritian rupee for a burger, 100 rupees for a samosa, 200 for a huge salad, but restaurant dishes ran about 450 rupees per person. We were also a bit disappointed with the vegetarian choices, and in the end we even went for the fish curry just to eat something really tasty. As mentioned earlier, we did find 2 incredible Indian restaurants where we had the best dinners.
We felt we didn't fully get the capital when visiting on our own. If you want to make the most of it, book a food or walking tour to really understand its culture and charm.
Guest houses were cozy and affordable, but some were far from restaurants and beaches, especially in Le Morne Brabant and Trou d'Eau-Douce, where we had to ride 20 minutes in the dark just to get dinner. In contrast, places like Flik-en-Flak and Peribert had everything within walking distance, which is great after a full day of exploring.
The south stole our hearts, waterfalls and fewer tourist beaches. The north is lovely too, especially if you're into resorts, but next time we'd base ourselves mostly in the south and plan a couple of day trips north.
We'd love to hike more next time, like up Le Morne. We heard it is extremely challenging, but worth it. But with our son in tow, we had to skip that. To make the hike more accessible for our son, we considered a 3-hour guided tour to the Tamarind waterfalls. But unfortunately, due to the rainy conditions, we had to let that idea go. But Tamarind and Le Morne are a must in everybody's itinerary who love a hike.
Plans change. Rain, tides, even local holidays can impact your itinerary. We were flexible and that made all the difference. Yes, we missed a few waterfalls and many other must visits, but we had an amazing trip nonetheless.
We were lucky enough to be able to enjoy Mauritius for 2 whole weeks. If you plan on 10 or even just 7 days, it is definitely still worth the trip. Prioritize what matters most to you, choose a few top spots, maybe a guided day trip, and enjoy the beaches, because honestly, they're all worth it.
So we have come to the end of our Mauritius video. We hope we have been able to give you useful tips when planning your trip to this stunning tropical island.
If you enjoyed this video, please let us know by pressing the like button or by leaving a comment. And of course, consider subscribing if you want to see more of our videos. Thank you for watching and see you next time.